Hello again. Welcome to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to be back with you again. You're joining us today for our very first full garden tour. We're really looking forward to showing you our garden. You should be able to see some views of the front garden behind me. We're going to start off with our old apple tree. This is one of our favourite trees, a very mature cooking apple tree.
What do you call it?
And that it's a very mature, very old cooking apple tree. It's a form of brambly, my dear.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nudge is showing you our beautiful tree. We're now moving on to our raised beds where we have our beautiful begonias. So this is our begonia area. Many of you will have seen our video earlier on where we were actually planting these raised beds with our begonias. And now you can see that they are looking quite healthy. They've become established, they're starting to grow, and you can see the hundreds and hundreds of beautiful begonias in our raised beds. We're now going to move on to our orchard. This is our established orchard over here. And we're going to be having a look at the trees here. You can see that we have a collection of different types of trees, apples, plums, pears, and this year we seem to be having quite a good crop. So on this tree here we can see that we do actually need to do some thinning. The branches are getting weighted down and it's going to be necessary to actually thin some of these apples out to remove some of the weight. Otherwise the branches are going to be breaking. So this will be a job for Nadge to do when she is feeling better. It's wonderful that Nadge is with us again now. She's had 9 or 10 days of absolute misery and agony with COVID. But finally today, for the very first time, she is free of COVID. She's negative, and so she's able to join us for a video. So this is one of our apple trees. Okay, we're now just moving up to more apple trees. They're a mixture of cocces and different apple trees. And we're moving up now to some of our plums. These are gauges on here. I think this is a type of old-fashioned green gauge.
Lovely.
Yep. We've actually got quite a good crop, haven't we, this year? Look at the plums on there. It's a really nice crop. And we've got some Victoria plum trees as well. And, you know, generally speaking, we've got a really pleasing crop. This one again. Okay, again we can see that we've got a really lovely crop of plums. Got a pear tree here as well. So Nadge is now showing the border at the front of our driveway. She's just walking up the border the one side and coming down the other. So this is the border either side of the driveway. You can see the collections of flowers, the varied flowers that we've got here. Variety of perennials and bedding plants. So on here we have our front lawn, and you can see that we have a fountain in the middle of the lawn with flower planting around the outside. The lupins have been very beautiful. Unfortunately they are past their best now. And then we go up and we have a border all the way down the side of the wall. Most of the border consists of perennial rudbeckias, and in a week or two's time they will start to be coming out and they will provide a beautiful show of flowers. The moment most of the colour that you can see is provided by the bedding begonias. So right at the very front of the house we have a collection of pots. You can see that we've still got some gorgeous lilies, but some are now past their best, unfortunately.
Geranium.
Yeah, we've got some beautiful geraniums as well. Over on the far side here we have some more pots. Mainly annual bedding in these pots. But we do have some hostas and other plants too. Coming over now to one of my favourite hanging baskets. I really like this hanging basket. Really pretty. There is Nadji's Christmas tree that we bring into the house each Christmas. Over here we've come to the vegetable garden in containers, which we keep at this side of the house. Remember, several weeks ago we planted a container garden of vegetables, and we've kept you updated about the progress that they've been making. And you can see that some of them have grown very, very well indeed. Some now have actually been replaced because they've been harvested. So for instance, the radish and the lettuce have been replanted because they've been harvested. Now Nige wants me to show you the brassicas here, the cauliflowers here, because they've done particularly well. And there are some beautiful little cauliflowers developing, and she's very excited about that. So you can see that the container vegetable garden we've been very pleased with, and it just goes to show that you can grow a really worthwhile crop of vegetables and salad crops in pots. Another one of our hanging baskets at the front of the house. We really like this one as well. So we've got a geranium or two up on the top, and we've got some trailing begonias around the side. Absolutely stunningly beautiful colours. Very, very pretty indeed.
I love the colors of hydrangeas. Blue.
And the buddleia.
Buddleia, look at that.
Buddleia is very pretty colours as well. We've come around the back of the house now. We're onto the rear patio, and we're looking at the border alongside of the patio. Again, the main structure is provided by perennial plants, but there's annual bedding as well. Again, mainly geraniums and bedding begonias. Here we have one of my favourite parts of the garden. It's our new rose bed. Now unfortunately the roses are not particularly brilliant just at the moment. There's a lot of buds developing, but quite a few of the roses are not flowering that much at the moment. But the rest of the bed is absolutely beautiful. I'm really pleased with the mixture of fuchsias, geraniums, dahlias and rudbeckias. I think it's really, really pretty. So that is our rose bed. Now it's like giving some really close-ups of the rudbeckias and the dahlias. Here we have the orchard in a compact space, our small fruit orchard. You can see that the trees are alive anyway. It's not that long since they were put in. They are gradually establishing. And you can see that the other soft fruit that we put in as well is looking quite healthy too. We do actually have a beautiful crop of gooseberries in places. The gooseberries are doing quite well. Around the outside we have the strawberries. We've had a nice crop of strawberries as well. Remember, the strawberries were planted in pots so that they could be picked up and taken away if required. So that's our compact orchard, our orchard in a small space, and we're quite pleased with how well that's been working. Over here we have two gravel and stone rockery beds that we haven't really shown you before. They need a little bit of work doing to them, but they're quite attractive. You see there's some lovely hebes and different flowers on there. Here in front of us we have what we refer to as our background bed. Again, one of our favourite beds in the garden. Annual bedding mainly along the front. At the back we have our perennials. Some phlox are coming out now and are starting to look very attractive. There's some leucoranthemums. And we can see that the Crocosmia lucifer will be coming out very, very shortly. That Crocosmia lucifer will be an absolutely spectacular show quite soon. The flower bed with the summer bulbs. The dahlias are now doing well and are establishing and will soon be coming into flower. Obviously the alliums in the middle of the bed have finished flowering, but they're still providing lots of structure and a very beautiful sight in the middle of the bed. In front of us here we have the first of our raised vegetable beds. Our onions at the front. At the back, that was our strawberry patch. Unfortunately, most of the strawberries are over now, but we've had a really nice crop and we've been able to keep some of our strawberries as well. We're on to the second bed now. This is where we have our brassicas. This is our homemade brassica cage. And Nadge is just walking up the length of the cage to show you the crops that we have got inside. It's a wide range of brassica plants, planted at different stages to give us successional cropping. And she's just walking the length of the cage to give you an idea of the crops that we have got developing inside. Okay, she's coming back now and we're going to do some harvesting. We've already harvested a lot of calabreese, some of which we have frozen. We've now got a number of cauliflowers ready. And so we're going to do some harvesting of cauliflowers. You can see just down here the beautiful cauliflowers developing.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they really need to be harvested. Some to be eaten now, some to be frozen, ready for the winter. And so we're harvesting some of our beautiful cauliflowers. Okay, I think 3 will be enough for the moment. So some for lunch tomorrow and some to be frozen.
So the cabbage there.
We'll leave the cabbage for another time.
Okay, so working?
Third bed is potatoes. Potatoes planted at different times. The ones at the far end are not that far advanced. The ones here are much bigger and more advanced. So this bed here, you can see, is our potatoes. This bed here, we have our peas at the front, followed by runner beans at the back. The peas, which you saw us plant using the cardboard sleeve method, have done pretty well. And again, we are ready to be harvesting them. We've harvested quite a lot already, and we really do need to keep on top of this, otherwise they'll be getting too big and old. So again, we'll be eating some of them quite soon. Others we will be freezing, keeping ready for the winter. Okay, our lovely peas. This bed here was a bed just entirely of broad beans. But hopefully you watched our last video and you saw where we actually took a lot of the broad beans out and planted some other crops. So down at the far end there's some of our later broad beans that we've still got there. In front there's some peas that we planted last week that we took out of the sleeves and put in there, and they're starting to grow very quickly. At the front are the French beans that we put in when we took broad beans out. This bed here is a mixture of several different crops. We have runner beans at the front, we have some climbing beans, and we have some vegetable crops down there. Right down at this bottom end we have some courgettes developing. And in here we have one of our greenhouses with tomato crops developing. Tomatoes planted at different times, different stages of development, and some sweet potatoes down at the far end. So we're into the polytunnel now. Now just showing you some of the things that we've got inside the polytunnel. She's showing you there that we have a mixture of chilies and peppers, aubergines. The strawberries are more or less finished now. She's looking at the pak choy. Down at the very bottom end there's some very small tomatoes we've put in to try and give us a very late crop. There's some more tomatoes here that are rather more established. Over here you can see that we've got some lovely cucumbers. We're actually going to harvest a cucumber. We've been harvesting cucumbers for quite a time, but we've run out, so we're actually harvesting another lovely cucumber now to take into the house. And up in the top corner we've got some carrots, a carrot box, and we've been eating carrots for some time already. Try one. Okay, I'll just try and pull one out at random. Okay, that one's a little bit on the small side, but you can see that it's a lovely straight carrot, and a lot of the other ones in there are actually a little bit bigger than that. I'm just going to pop him back in just for the moment. So it's quite productive. Obviously the strawberries that we got hanging up at the top have now finished, unfortunately. We had a lovely crop from the hanging pots of strawberries, but they're now finished. This bed over here is one of our very long raised beds. It's the one that you saw us renovating earlier on. It's been in here quite a long time. Last year we didn't use it at all. This year we are using it, and we've renovated this side of it. The far side we haven't yet renovated. Unfortunately COVID got in the way. But we've already got a number of things planted in here. Got some pumpkins and some parsnips and some leeks. And up at the far end you can see that we've planted a variety of crops very, very recently. Just to show that you can still plant some vegetables and salad crops in seed, and they will grow even at this time. But this side here we've got a few very late potatoes. These are buckets that we've already emptied, but we've put some fresh potato seed in, and you can see that we've even got one or two germinating and growing already. Here you can see Nige is actually harvesting some of our lovely raspberries. She's not very keen on being on camera at the moment because, as I said before, this is the first, she's had 10 days of testing positive for COVID. She's been very, very poorly, and this is the first time really that she's been outside. And so it's great to see her again, but she doesn't really want to be on camera very much at the moment, but she is a lot better. And thank you so much to all those people who have expressed their concern. We've had lots of messages wishing both of us, particularly Nige, best of luck, and she is now well on the road to recovery, and she's harvesting some lovely raspberries. In front of us here we have containers of carrots that we planted. We did a video in which we explained that we were planting most of our carrots this year in containers, and you can see that they've germinated very well. You may notice that the Autumn King, there's far too many carrots in there. That happened because we had a technical fault that we didn't find particularly amusing at the time. We had to redo the video several times, so I've got to do a lot of thinning there. We actually planted and planted and planted because we had a technical problem with their equipment. But you can see that generally speaking, the carrots are doing very well. We're hoping to have a lovely crop. Over here is our main area of potatoes in buckets, in containers. We put 55 at the beginning, and these are the ones that we've still got here. Most of these are second earlies or main crop. So they've, generally speaking, we've been quite pleased with how well they've done. Our idea this year is to grow lots and lots of vegetables because we want to store a lot, we want to freeze a lot. We're really working towards being able to support ourselves in February. Remember, as I said before, we've entered the February $50 competition, based mainly in the US. And in that month, we've got to provide all our own vegetables and most of the food that we're going to eat. And so this year we're growing a lot more food. We're going to store a lot by freezing and preserving, making chutneys, jams, and things such as that. We're going to be really, really busy. So far we've been eating our first early potatoes all the time. We're just going to have a look now in a bucket to see what the second earlies are like. We haven't looked at any of these so far, so this is just a bit of an experiment to see what sort of stage they're at. We've cut the tops off already. And now we're going to see what sort of crop we've got inside here. And we're hoping that we've got a nice crop of second early potatoes. Okay, not too bad. They're actually not huge at the moment. Probably need a little bit longer to grow maybe. But these will be some very nice, tasty potatoes to use in our cooking. Yep. Yep. There's some more big ones as well. We'll have a look later and get the rest of them. Okay, thank you so much for watching our video. We hope you've enjoyed our tour. We still haven't shown you all of our garden. There will be another episode coming up quite soon because there are still areas that we need to show you. But it gives you some idea of just how much land Nige and I have got to look after and how we're trying to use it. And as I said, we're trying to grow lots and lots of crops this year so that we can store and preserve and keep food to eat during the winter, partly because of the prices of food and possible shortages of food, but also because of the February challenge that we've entered. If Graham is watching, Yes, I would be very happy to show you around the garden sometime, Graham, if you get in touch with me again. All the very best. Thank you so much for watching, all of you. Thank you. Goodbye.